So, hi. I hope y'all had a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year. It's been a interesting one for sure. And it's one that has led me to this point, I think. Putting things out there, creating things, talking to myself alone in a room. It's been weird. And I finally figured out how to edit this video that you're watching right now. I had a lot of problems with some editing software, and I'm very new to this, so I had a lot of problems. And then I had a lot of problems trying to figure out what I was going to talk to you about, because I had some ideas. I thought, okay, I can talk about creativity, I could talk about my childhood, because everyone wants to hear about that, and if you don't, then I guess you can just mute me and go ahead and watch the video. But if you're interested, I did decide to talk about dyslexia. I decided to talk about myself and my experience living with a learning disability in a very complex world. I think that the problem with having something to say is that you have to figure out how to say it. I didn't really know how to approach this topic because for a long time I felt like my own struggles didn't matter, that other people have it worse. I feel that talking about a learning disability, sometimes I have this feeling that I shouldn't complain because I know that there are struggles out there that are beyond anything I could comprehend or understand. But I did decide to start talking about this because there are things in my life that I feel I have experienced that are somewhat different to what other people have. And even if no one listens, at least I said it. This isn't really scripted. It's not something that I wanted to be scripted. I mean, I have notes on a little paper that is kind of like a little mind map of where I want to go with this, but if it were scripted, it wouldn't feel very authentic, I think. So, with that aside, I just want to talk about a couple of terms here. First of all, dyslexia. Break down the word dys and lexia. Basically, in Latin terms, means a lack of something, dys, and language, lexia. So the learning disability has to do with your brain being wired in a different way, which can make childhood very difficult and harder than, say, a neurotypical person's childhood would be. And that is not meant in any way to invalidate other people's pain. I'm just stating it that is what dyslexia is. It is a learning disability. If you look into it, there's dysgraphia, as well. There's a couple of other forms of this, and it kind of depends on just what your brain is doing, right? I have a very hard time communicating, writing, spelling, to this day. I mean, I'm in my early 20s, and to this day, I have pretty extensive issues. And I say that, and then other people are like, oh yeah, I can't like spell either. It's like, it's not just that though. It's not that I have trouble figuring out how to spell words sometimes. It's that every time I'm writing it, even if I've spelled it 1,000 times before, it's gone. If I'm not tapping into the coping mechanisms that I've developed, it's wrong. It'll be wrong. I will be thinking I'm writing something and then look back and find that it is just wrong. Because that's part of what dyslexia is. Something in your brain is disconnected and doesn't translate to your performance on something. The second term I kind of wanted to talk about because this is something I'm noticing more and more at this point in my life. You know, as a young professional, as a young woman who's navigating the world as an adult now, for the most part. This is something that I've seen every single day, and it's something that people don't really talk about all the time. Well, people talk about it, but the majority of people, of neurotypical people, don't listen to the people who are talking about it. And that word is ableism. Viewing the world from a position of not having experienced a learning disability or disability in general. I mean, anyone can say anything insensitive, right? And that's the way the world works. Anyone can say anything that's insensitive and hurts someone else. And they don't think about it. I also want to add to this, ableism is being able to make a joke about something and not feel hurt by it. So the holidays just ended, and I saw a meme going around a lot of places. And it was this meme, it would be like a picture of a painting, and one of the people would be standing there kind of like looking embarrassed, and then the other person would be, "You idiot, why did you write to Satan and not Santa?" And then the caption below it would be like, obviously, "When you're dyslexic and you can't write to Santa." And it's just like, but do you have to make a joke at someone else's expense? And there's plenty of examples of that. And comedy is great. Comedy has the power to take very dark things and bring them to the forefront of society. I have the utmost respect for comedy. The last term I wanted to talk about a little bit is invisible disability. So, dyslexia is not something you can see. You can't just open up somebody's brain and say, "Oh, dyslexic." but the way it presents is very much subtle. It's in the behavior, it's in the actions and performances of the person, which is why it's an invisible disability. Someone would not just be able to tell, oh, dyslexic, and then be able to understand that, like, I've had all of these different experiences. You know, I experienced what was called MTA, multisensory teaching approach. And it was a class that only I took, not only I, me and some other kids, you know, that were diagnosed with similar things. And I had accommodations throughout my schooling. I have a pretty thick stack of paperwork documenting these things from my childhood. And it's funny sometimes to look back on it and see, like, just how much I struggled, because before I saw all of that paperwork, I didn't perceive it as bad as it was, basically. I was very much a kid that was finding ways of escape, basically. And I think that those coping mechanisms that I developed as a kid were to turn away from the fact, like, the embarrassment, being pulled out of class for a test when no one else gets pulled out of class for a test, being pulled out of class for certain amounts of time to do a different lesson with the MTA teachers. It's interesting. It's interesting to have those experiences. I wouldn't say they were all good. So, one of my earliest experiences in school was actually of bullying. I was a weird kid. Alright? I played outside and collected rocks and made castles out of mud and made playgrounds for little worms I found. I played in gardens and sometimes ate flowers with some of my other friends because we thought we were like fairies or something. So I wasn't really in the in crowd, you could say. I wasn't interested in like being around a lot of the girls that were popular. And for the most part, I only had about like 2 friends at a time, basically, throughout my entire school experience, even now. Never had a lot of friends. The friends I did have were great friends. But one of my first memories in school was first grade. And there was this boy who frequently took advantage of being able to make fun of me every chance he got, because we sat together, and he saw all of the grades on my spelling tests and different writing assignments. And believe me, they were not pretty. They were not pretty grades at all. I, for the life of me, could not succeed in that like everyone else. And this boy just used every single chance he got to torment me, basically. I remember being made fun of because I asked how to spell I, and I meant as in E-Y-E, like an eyeball. And for, 10 straight minutes, these kids were just like, you can't spell I, it's just one letter, and wouldn't let me get a word in edgewise about how, like, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other one. And then there was, oh my God, creative writing was the bane of my existence because it was something that everyone else could do that I could not, no matter how hard I tried. And I wanted so badly to be like everybody else, we had this stupid activity where people would do like little creative writing and then read it to the class, and everyone would, applaud and be like supportive or whatever. And then I never finished this assignment. And I got up there and I had made a picture book because I thought, well, they're writing a creative story and I'm good at drawing. So I remember this vividly. I had a picture book about a monkey. And I got up there and showed people, and everyone just kind of laughed. They thought it was funny, they thought it was stupid. And that was pretty, that's one of the times I remember feeling like my self-esteem was non-existent. And this kid, this boy that I was talking about, he thought it was hilarious to threaten cutting off all my hair. And kids should not know about this, but he threatened to scalp me. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I, as a first grader, I didn't even know what the heck that meant, was threatened with scalping because I was stupid in other people's eyes. Their words, not mine. I try not to use the word stupid to describe myself or others. But that's how I felt. That's a word that I used for a very long time to describe myself. And that's what my self-worth was. Because when everything kind of just goes wrong for you, when you're trying to succeed at something, that's how it starts feeling. It feels like there's just something wrong with you. I learned how to disappear a little bit. I wasn't ever, I didn't experience anyone like beating me up. But kids can be ugly to each other. And if that just happens every single day for you in school, you learn how to avoid it. you learn how to sit alone at tables at lunch, and you learn how to stay away from people on the playground. And you learn how to entertain yourself without the availability of a lot of social interaction sometimes. And you look for that interaction elsewhere, which was maybe a unique situation for me growing up in the age of developing technology, the internet, YouTube, chat rooms, Tumblr, DeviantArt, Instagram. In the early days, dangerous place. Still is a dangerous place. I won't get into much of that in this video because I don't want to, and I don't have to talk about anything if I don't want to in these videos because they're mine. But I did want to talk about communication, miscommunication. It's hard for me to make friends as it is. Talk to people, keep up with talking to people. But with COVID, jeez. I moved to a new state this year, and, last year. It's 2021. It was 2020 when I moved. And I haven't made a single friend. It would have been hard enough just moving to a new place without knowing anybody. But with COVID, man, I don't get out. I guess some people do. Some people don't care that they're spreading their germs, but I do. I don't get out. And I have some friends from back home, which is really, really great. But when you're dyslexic, it's hard to connect. There's so many things that make communicating really hard. Depression, anxiety, autism, self-esteem, any number of mental disorders can make communicating and making friends hard. And any number of disabilities can make that hard too. But with dyslexia, I often feel like there's something that just doesn't make sense. That everyone else understands, except for me. I miss a lot of stuff in conversation sometimes. I miss a lot of jokes and a lot of quips, a lot of, innuendos sometimes. Or people communicating something that I just don't see, and then later my partner is like, did you realize that person was flirting with you? And I'd be like, no, jeez, I don't even know. I did not sense that. It's weird. It's weird missing things in context. And it often makes me seem antisocial. It makes me seem standoffish. And I don't mean to be. Not knowing something is a great way to feel inadequate, in my opinion, in my experience, in my perspective, right? If I didn't know something, if I couldn't do something, I felt embarrassed, beyond embarrassed. And that leads me to my last thing that I just wanted to talk about, is self-esteem. because the self-esteem of many dyslexic people is very low because of these experiences we have. And if anything comes from this video, I just hope that it's you look around and you think about what you say next time you say something. Think about how it affects someone else. And if you come across someone who communicates differently from you or is interacting outside of your realm of understanding, just take a moment to listen. You might be surprised. Thanks for just listening to me ramble for straight 30 minutes. I hope that this was somewhat maybe informative or interesting. I don't like to talk about myself too much, but I did feel like this video was important to me. Even if nothing comes of it, because it's really helped me understand things about myself through doing it. And if nothing else, I hope you enjoyed the artwork. I don't really know where this picture came from. I just kind of drew it, so hopefully it's not too weird or outlandish. It's just kind of a fun drawing. And thanks for watching this evening illustration. Have a great night, guys.